Appreciate it.
So you have your rock and roll confessional, and what is it? Just the two of you, UNCW?
That is correct. Just both of us, and CW presented that to me a couple of years ago. I'd gone back to work at KLOS, and it was like, okay, well, everybody's doing a podcast. But I was telling him, all the pitfalls, which I'm sure both of you are quite aware of. It's a lot of work, and not a lot of payback. You two, by the way, do a great podcast. So it's really, really well. It's researched well. It's produced well. You know your stuff, and it sounds really good. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
Hey, that's going up on the big board.
Yeah, coming from Rita, yeah.
Well, it's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it is. So you were saying with you at UNCW, how much work it is. Was he not? Do you think he wasn't prepared for the amount of work that goes into it?
I'm not sure if he was or not. I was doing one at KLOS, pretty much on the legacy of the station, which I was doing with Stu Herrera. And we'd have, special guests and so forth. And, Stu would just like, let's just record it. Let's just put it, to air. And I was thinking, it needs a little bit more editing, a little bit more this, more that. But, I flunked the class. Well, I didn't flunk the class. I just didn't attend the class on podcast editing and so forth. So I just let it be. And CW learned everything himself and set up everything himself. And, he put a lot of work and effort into it. And I really appreciate it because we've had some fun times on it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It is a lot. It is well done. Same back to you there. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just saying to Dave, also you guys sound great and also really well edited. But I was commenting to Dave about your show notes are really thorough and really, really nice.
Yeah, CW does a great job with that. Again, he pretty much does all the heavy lifting, so.
So CW is my Dave.
Yes.
Dave is the one we also didn't know when we started 4 years ago, the technical aspect of it. And when you go back and listen to those really early shows, it was obvious. It took us a little while to get the technical stuff down.
Yeah, technical stuff. And then also, learning how to interview again, because in radio, when I was in it, sometimes it would just be, you have a minute, or if it was a national broadcast show, you better not F up and you have less than a minute, that kind of thing. So the pressure that went along with it. For me, the most pressure these days is just reading books and so forth, because I'm like the slowest reader in the world. It's not ADD. I have a therapist once said it was FFB, fast, fun brain.
Yeah. Don't bore us, get to bore us is what I always say.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun now, the reading, especially the biographies, which was not my format of choice, my genre of choice. But since we've been doing this, I've had so much fun with them. They've been great.
Exactly. Just still reading one. Actually, we did the interview last week on the guy who put out pretty much the Bible on Brian Wilson, David Leaf, and he's put the addendum on it. It's just as big as the book. But I was telling him it was the first time I was able to hear the Beach Boys in stereo, if that makes sense, because I always listened to them, on the radio as a kid, it was pretty much all mono. And then it was like, the Beatles were my thing and the Beach Boys weren't, cool. But then as I've been doing this podcast and talking with people about the music, I've begun to understand it and just how amazing it is. And that's been a real joy for me to find that out.
Yeah. See, opens up a whole different world.